America kills for profit and calls it order. ICE shooting white people finally broke through denial. Trump's enforcement pushed past paperwork into street violence, and major outlets recorded the bodies while state officials tried damage control.
There are thousands of them, but there's millions of us.
Any ICE agent that thinks they're gonna come into my home and terrorize me and my family, you will be met with lethal force.
This shit needs to fucking stop now, and no one's doing it but us.
Okay, so what we are basically witnessing in America right now is not just protests. And it's not just outrage, it's a reckoning, it's an awakening. You know, for the first time in a very long time, we are seeing white Americans flood social media, you know, terrified, angry, and shocked because of the same system that they trusted, and that's now turning against them, you know, and they didn't see this coming. ICE agents are grabbing people off the streets, you know, homes are getting raided indiscriminately, and mandates are being overstepped, and authoritarianism is something that, you know, it's now palpable. Americans can see on the horizon coming, and suddenly the warnings that Black Americans have been screaming for generations are now beginning to make sense to, you know, everybody else, and especially those that ignored the warnings.
Many white Americans only recognized the system once it hit people who looked like them. That realization arrived late, soaked in blood, but it still counts. This country was built through violence long before courts or flags ever mattered. Land theft against native nations set the pattern. Expansion relied on forced removal, ration denial, and intentional starvation. American enslavement followed as a profit system backed by contracts and torture. After legal bondage ended, lawmakers carved an exception into the 13th Amendment, which supposedly ended slavery, allowing forced labor after conviction. Courts exploited that opening through biased policing, stacked sentences, and selective enforcement.
Was a nurse? He was a nurse at a VA hospital. Alex Preddy was a nurse at a VA hospital. Federal agents funded by taxpayer dollars, killed a nurse who spent his life keeping veterans alive. And before his body hit the ground, they called him a terrorist. Congress, defund these guys. Quit giving them money. Congress is in charge of money, are they not? Why do I see on January 16th, 2026, Kinetic Group Sales, LLC, $17,300 for the delivery order of various 12-gauge projectile ammunition rounds to support ICE officers of firearms and tactical program in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, Minnesota? How come I see that they have funding through March 23rd of 2026. Cut them off. Swear to God, Congress, if you tell me that you don't have control over the checkbook because the House has more Republicans than you, then what do? You are the checks and balances, specifically the checks, meaning the money book. Hey, military veterans, if you're watching this video, this is an attack on you too. Do not fight with this man. Do not fight with this version of our country. He's killing the people who want to take care of you when they don't give a shit about you anymore.
There are thousands of them, but there's millions of us. There's fucking millions of us. This shit needs to fucking stop now, and no one's doing it but us. Start getting together in small groups, in secure communication forums, and talk about how you're going to protect yourselves, protect us, and fucking fight back.
I have been guilty, as has a large number of friends of mine, of saying the following. I'll be discussing what's going on, recounting the horrors going on in this country. particularly for anyone other than white. And we'll be talking about it. And then one or the other of us would say, well, you know, I just can't. I've stopped watching the news, or I can only take it for a little bit and then I just have to turn it off because I can't abide this. And I would be right there with them saying, me too. You know, there's only so much you can take. I mean, after all. I woke up at some point and recognized we only have the luxury of saying, I'm just going to turn this off and not look because we're white. That's it. We are white. So we have that luxury of averting our eyes, of closing our eyes, of taking a break from the horror. Once that realization hit me, I became what's probably a horror show to my friends. I don't know why anybody follows me on Facebook anymore, because the only thing that I post, almost, slight exception for the great-granddaughter, the only thing I post on there is the horrors of what's going on for so many people. And the horrors of watching the democracy, the destruction of it, which is pretty much accomplished, and the horrors of what this means for the whole world. We cannot turn away from it. We may not turn away from it. As someone said in a meme I saw the other day, somewhere right now in the United States, a young girl is writing in her diary. I've also been thinking and saying for quite a while, if anybody is going to be able to lead the resistance to what's going on, to be the biggest pain in the ass to ICE, to all of it, it's got to be old white women. Why? Not because we're born heroic, hardly that. But what we do have is the least to lose. We don't have young children that we have to protect. We don't have beginning careers that we want to protect. We have already lived long lives. We need to be on the forefront. I saw a post this morning by a young man who's British, but of some, Asian descent maybe, saying in Minneapolis, he has never seen the kind of bravery he has as old white women are displaying. That's not bragging. That's saying, get out there, old white women. We need to be doing whatever we are physically and mentally capable of doing to stop this horror show.
To my black brothers and sisters out there that are the ones that are posting all this, we just gonna mind our business. And I saw somebody earlier making T-shirts of like a group of like 6 black people, black men and women, sitting on a bench texting on phones while the country is burning up behind them. Let me explain something to you guys. Let me explain something to you. When they get done with the brown people, they'll be coming after you. And if you don't think that's true, you got another motherfucking thing coming. This is bigger than you, okay? Because let me explain another thing to you. You sit back and watch millions of brown people be kidnapped and removed from this country. When they do come after you, there's going to be nobody left to stand up for you. And when they're coming after you, how are you going to feel when people are sitting on the sideline like, oh, we just going to mind our business? Fuck all this other dumb shit. Man, no. That's not the time for that.
How about that white on white crime? White folks, what is your next move, bro? What y'all gonna do? Because as you can see, ICE can do whatever they want to whoever they want. What's the rhetoric that y'all always say to us? You know, if you comply, then you won't. That's what y'all say. That's what y'all say. So If I didn't have a heart, I really would want to give y'all the same rhetoric that y'all give us. But because I do have a heart, I'm not going to say that. But this should open your eyes to what black folks, say. Like that there was an abuse of power here. Multiple people, he's getting swung on, and then, a pew pew shot goes off. Okay? They are literally turning y'all into ninjas. Welcome to being a ninja. Welcome to America. But after all, this is the America that you want, right? So what's the point of even complaining about it?
Any ICE agent that thinks they're going to come into my home and terrorize me and my family, you will be met with lethal force. I will kill on sight, and I will shoot the if need be. ICE agents are not allowed in my home. If you come into my home to terrorize my family, I will see you as a threat, and I will. Bear in mind, I am very much armed, and will do what I need to do to protect my family.
Now, if I was an ICE agent, an icicle, or an ice cube, or the literal ice cube, if I was Ice-T, I would take that dude seriously. I know I'm not the only one, but there seems to be something's missing. And by something, I mean a chromosome.
Hi, so excuse the absolute mess that I am, but, I'm a nurse, and I just really have to come on here and talk about the irony of the fact that that man, that nurse, Alex Preddy, and let's please God say his name, was helping. He was helping a fellow human being when he was assaulted, taken to the ground, and then murdered by ICE. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He wasn't threatening anybody. He wasn't hurting anybody. He was helping because he was a helper, because that's what nurses are. They're helpers. And this is personal on so many levels for so many people. But I literally feel that they have absolutely hit fucking rock bottom.
And by the way, the man that was executed by ICE this morning, Alex Preddy, he was an ICU nurse. His entire life was dedicated to caring for other people in ways that most people would never choose to do. Not only that, he was an ICU nurse with the VA, so he took care of critically ill and injured veterans. He was a nurse, and he was executed so violently and just left in the street in death. And obviously, I can't believe I have to say this, but this is the internet. Someone's gonna find a reason to be upset. I don't think it's any more tragic when one person dies over the other because of their job, but it is just profoundly devastating and striking when it's this person who dedicated their entire life to caring for other people and serving his community and caring for and nurturing the precious thing that is life, the lives of others, and for him to be executed by these people that are fundamentally traitors to humankind, and they serve no good purpose, no higher purpose, and they executed him so violently. And he was a saint. It really, that's what nurses are. He was a saint.
Hey everybody, it's Senator Mark Kelly. Hey, I watched that video of Minneapolis today. Probably watched it a dozen times. Pretty obvious that this man was shot dead in the street for no reason. I want to encourage people to believe what they see. Don't let anybody, don't let this White House tell you it is something else. He was no threat to anybody. He was helping a woman try to get up off the street after being shoved to the ground by an ICE agent. This is wrong. It's outrageous. Please, look at the video. Believe your own eyes.
I do think we need to somewhat reframe the way we talk about ICE slaughtering Americans in the street and understand that what we're witnessing is the federal government executing Americans. He was a 37-year-old VA and ICU nurse. He was carrying a gun legally. He had a concealed carry permit, which is the Second Amendment, the thing that you all defend and fight for. He was beaten. He was pepper sprayed. He had his weapon then illegally removed from him by the federal government. And then they murdered him in the street, and we all got to see it. Where are all the Second Amendment dudes? Where are all the don't tread on me guys? Where are you?
He was peaceful and well within his rights to hold his camera and record what federal agents were doing. When he was attacked, he was pepper sprayed at point blank range, and then he was tackled by 5 or 6 federal agents. They then disarmed him of something that he was carrying legally with a license, and only then, after he was disarmed with 5 or 6 people on top of him, getting, pistol whipped or hit with maybe a can of OC spray, it was only then, when he had his face towards the ground and multiple people on top of him, that he was executed. But he wasn't just executed. They kept firing after he was clearly limp. After he was clearly lifeless, they kept dumping rounds into his body as he was face down, stone cold dead. You've seen the videos. You've heard the videos. You heard how long it was between the first shot, which might have been an accidental discharge by the very person who disarmed that man, and the amount of time between the last shot. When everybody else had already cleared away, they kept shooting. The Department of Homeland Security, Stephen Miller, the White House are branding this man a terrorist. Alex Preddy was a patriot, doing his patriotic duty. He was an ICU nurse who served veterans, critically ill veterans. He was murdered by cowards who, if they had done this in a combat zone, wearing a U.S. military uniform, they'd be court-martialed and they'd spend the rest of their lives in jail. It is not enough to simply abolish ICE. We need to prosecute ICE. Every one of these masked thugs need to be prosecuted. You see, the White House, Pam Bondi and the DOJ, they're getting cute, saying they're going to use the KKK Act to prosecute peaceful protesters. Well, you know what? The KKK Act, it includes provisions about how even if a federal agent is acting within the color of law to strip someone of their civil rights, they can be prosecuted under the KKK Act. So, you want to talk about the KKK Act? Let's talk about it, because this is what we're going to be using. This is what the next administration needs to use to prosecute not just ICE, but everyone at Department of Homeland Security and everyone at DOJ who is enabling the stripping of civil rights and the murder of Americans and immigrants. Because you know what? If you're on American soil, the American Constitution protects you. You don't have to be born here. It's called the rule of law. We are supposed to be a nation based in laws. That is what the Constitution is. Look, I understand that you might be scared, terrified, exhausted right now, and that's okay, because you're human. But let me share a hard truth with you. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. And the only way that they're ever going to get better is if more people step up and fight. And that doesn't necessarily mean going out and confronting ICE in the street. Doesn't necessarily mean protesting. If you have the resources to give to soup kitchens and pantries that are distributing food and necessary supplies to terrified families in Minnesota right now. If you have nothing else but the phone in your hand right now that you're using to watch this video, please engage in videos that talk about this. Just simply showing the algorithm that this is important, that people care about this, that people want justice, that is not nothing. You are participating in a real resistance. If you are planning to go out and observe ICE, I want you to do me a favor, and if you have the resources to do this, please buy yourself a body cam or a GoPro, something that you can wear so that you can keep both of your hands free as you observe them. As you've seen in a bunch of videos, when you get pepper sprayed, if you're trying to take care of your phone before they tackle you, like, you're in for some trouble. I know not everybody has the money to spend a few $100 on something like a GoPro and a chest harness to wear it on. But if you have these resources and you're going to do that, that will help you at least just a little bit. If you are going to carry, Never carry behind you. If you're going to carry, make sure that you are taking courses, self-defense classes that will teach you how to responsibly handle this type of equipment. And just keep in mind that these maniacs, these ICE thugs, are looking for any reason, any excuse to murder more Americans. So if you are going to be armed, please know that if they can put their hands on you at any point for any reason, that could be a death sentence. Not one that you deserve, but one that they will try to impose on you.
We have a serious update this evening regarding Minneapolis. A sworn affidavit by a first-hand witness was filed in court under the penalty of perjury. This witness says she is terrified to go home because she hears that DHS and ICE agents are looking for her to try to arrest her. Folks, this is serious. In this affidavit, she writes that she saw Alex Preddy observing and helping direct traffic. She saw ICE agents start pepper spraying individuals. She said she read the statement from the Department of Homeland Security about what happened, and it is, quote, wrong. The man did not approach the agents with a gun. He approached them with a camera. He was just trying to help a woman get up, and they took him to the ground, that man being Alex Preddy. And now I need you to read this one. I feel afraid. Only hours have passed since they shot a man right in front of me, and I don't feel I can go home because I heard agents were looking for me. I don't know what the agents will do when they find me. I do know that they're not telling the truth about what happened. I've heard that other witnesses might have been arrested and taken to the Whipple building. That's the ICE detention center. People need to see this. Spread the word. Follow for more.
I watched the video from the lady in the pink jacket. There's no way he'll ever get me to say that what they did was okay. If you haven't watched it, you should. Because it's the reality of what's going on. You want to sit in the safety of your home and lie to yourselves that this isn't happening. Cool, we'll see how long that lasts. Or that it won't affect you. Awesome. Alex Preddy was an ICU nurse, a resident of Minneapolis, a U.S. citizen. He had a permit to carry. He was observing with a camera, helping a lady up. And they tackled him and beat him, hit him in the head, and executed him in the street.
All right. So, for decades, Black people said this system is not fair. Compliance does not protect you. The state does not, see us as citizens But what was always the response from especially white people? Just comply. You're exaggerating. What you're explaining only happens to criminals. But now what are we seeing? Fast forward to the era of Donald Trump, ICE is no longer just an immigration issue. It's an authoritarian issue. They are now targeting Americans, legal people that are, tax-paying Americans, innocent Americans. And it's touching the people who were once shielded by whiteness, by citizenship, and by proximity to power. No wonder, that you see so many white people now coming out to decry the situation. So when you notice the language of these people, they're saying the same things that Black people were saying, that this is not America. This is not what America should have been. We can't do this no longer, and we did not agree to this. Even MAGA supporters, MAGA diehards, are now coming out to say we did not subscribe to this. And Black people are just watching like, welcome to America. Welcome to the conversation. This is the reality that Black people have always been born to. And this is the reality that they have been trying to, bring everybody's attention to. But, everybody was always ignoring. And now there is a saying that says, when a bear you fed comes back hungry, it does not ask who fed it. It will just devour anyone that is on the way. So America built a system meant to control, to police, to dominate, and to suppress, basically. Originally, it was to protect white power. Black people didn't start this fire. And now that the fire is out of control, we're seeing that the bear that America has fed so much and it's become so big, so dangerous, has turned around and it's now eating its own children. And that's why the screams are so loud, because these are people that have not been used to this situation. And these are people that, in most cases, most of them have ignored the people that were trying to, raise attention to the other side of the coin, So now comes the pressure. We need everybody, all hands on deck. Everybody must join. If you don't protest, you're complicit to the system. And there are even threats. ICE will come for you next if you don't join in the protest. But that threat, that's not a warning. That's a threat. And one thing with threats do not build solidarity. By the way, if it is to build solidarity, then you need to convince people the reason to why they need to join. Because we're seeing Black Americans choosing to sit this one out. And for very simple reasons, very understandable reasons, like Black people, they're not tired, they're not lazy, they're not scared. They're not scared, they are tired. Because they've been saying this all along and nobody listened. And now that everybody is realizing the truth the hard way, it's time for them to really just, wait and let people learn these lessons the hardest way, Black people protested when it was not even trending on social media. Black people warned everybody, but nobody listened. They marched on the streets when cameras did not highlight the situation. The media did not really fully cover, And every time, Black people are always told, this is not about race, you're being divisive, trust the system. And, such were the words that they were using to try and ignore the severity of the situation. And now that the house is on fire, we can say that the same people who ignored the smoke alarms are now yelling for help. Sitting this one out for Black people, from where I sit, from where many people are actually, from many people's perspective, is that it's not betrayal. It is just self-preservation. Because after all, how much has Black America fought for Americans, even for immigrants, for everybody else to enjoy the freedoms that they are enjoying today in America? So much has been fought by Black people, and sadly, they have not even gotten the credit for that. So right now, when they're choosing to let everybody just feel the intensity of the situation, it's not betrayal. It's self-preservation, basically. So this is the hard truth. And let's be honest, the system was built by white people and it was designed to serve white people. And so if it is going to be dismantled, if it is now time, it is ripe time to dismantle it, then the people closest to the levers of power have to do the heavy lifting. Basically, what I'm saying is the people that build it are better positioned than anybody else to deconstruct the system they constructed. So Black people didn't create the authoritarian regime and didn't vote this authoritarian regime we are seeing today in America. So unity really based on fear, telling Black Americans, you either join or, I don't know, ICE will come for you next. Unity based on fear is not unity. It's trying to use them for convenience. And these are things that Black America has seen already. And so they're not going to be duped into just, being used for convenience, that when the chaos, when everything cools down, everybody goes back to comfort zone, everybody goes back to to forgetting, you know. So Black Americans, they're not heartless in this situation. They're experienced. They have gone through this before. There's nothing America can throw at Black people that they have not survived yet. So when you hear Black people say, we are resting, we are watching this one, we are choosing our battles, understand this. There are people that lit the fire, and there are the people that ignored, you know, the warnings. And now it is the same people that have to face, and you know, the flames of the fire, because they have ignored it for the longest time. And maybe, just maybe, the next time Black people raise an alarm, the next time Black people speak, everybody shall listen. Yeah, so that's basically my take on this. Do share with me what you think about this video in the comment section below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.